front of their right heel, so they now can shoot in between the gaps in the files of the front line. Upon the command to
present,
every man's to take careful aim. Make no mistake, it might be 5, 50, 500, or 5,000. Every soldier was to carefully sight in on their targets. They wait quietly, patiently. The order to they shoot. Notice that the weapon snaps right back down to this position, so they can, once more,
fireman, move!
Hold him again.
Now we know for Major Ebenezer Stevens Artillery,
Yeah, can you get
throughout
my
the
earplug?
spring of 1777, they drew muskets from stores
Yeah,
at Ticonderoga.
Use your
Come
finger.
June of 1777, as the first brand new French muskets
way for
arrived, they indeed grabbed these guns, equipping every single one of these gunners and matrosses to a man with these brand new French guns. Now they did this partially so they could guard these guns at night. Indeed, they could at a moment's notice
Make ready, present,
yet
Oh,
also
that was
because
way
they continued
better.
the vent with a leather-covered thumb so that now no air would get into the vent through the back of the gun. Now we'd be ready to
sponge piece,
that man with the sponge, sheep leather with the fleece left on an oak cylinder. He would step forward for the muzzle, push that sponge on down, twisting it and extracting it, with the vent cover to create suction. He immediately would flip the rammer over, so now he's got the rammer head, a turned cylinder of oak set just above the muzzle of the cannon, so he's ready to ram at a moment's notice. If at this point we'd be ready to
hand out cartridge,
and we advance up a cartridge from all the way back at our ammunition box. This would be brought to the man to the left front who has the ladle, that copper scoop. He would receive the cartridge, slice it open with his penknife, and now he'd be ready to
charge piece,
and go ahead and with that ladle, slide the cartridge to the back, overturning it to drop the cartridge out, add the wad, add the shot, add another wad, and so now we would be ready to
hand out cartridge,
and that rammer poised above would be thrown briskly several times to pack everything, shot, wad, and cartridge firmly against the breech. As soon as that's done, he would step back out behind the muzzle, and now Bombardier would get the command to
prime,
he'd go ahead and pick open the vent using his priming torque to go ahead and pour a priming charge on down. At this point the gun, whoever senior aiming gunner, should put their two thumbnails together to create a sight across the breech. And then, once the gun was properly aimed, that man holding the port gun, this compound saltpeter, gunpowder, all soaked in linseed oil, he would get the command to
fire!
The shot goes down range. Now these crews, they would practice this exercise over and over again so that case shot, which would cut a swath 35 yards wide all the way out to 800 yards. Each shot going down range upon the command to
fire!
Now should it be that the enemy would get so close that the crew could not get off another shot, they had their firelocks slung across their backs. So they could
defend the peace,
unslinging those guns, setting the implements aside. So the other members of the crew, men known as matrosses, they could mount the boxes, drag the gun to a better position so they could continue firing again. As the men defended the piece, they would use different disciplines. You would have one man taking aim at any given time, while the men behind them, they would go ahead and load. As soon as they had their guns loaded, they would tap that man who was taking it on the shoulder, and they would go ahead and give their fire, and then they would switch places. That man who just fired, going ahead and loading once more. Now this might buy enough time for the cannon to be moved to a new position, in which case the crew would re-sling their guns, head right back, and begin firing again. It might, with the mere weight of the fire, drive the enemy back in their position so they can fire the cannon where it was in place. It might at the very least buy enough time for the cannon to be spiked. is to say an iron nail with the tip split would be hammered right down through the vent so that as it hit the bottom of the breech, it would clink it, rendering the cannon inoperable until such time as it could be driven. Whatever the case, the crew would continue up this rolling fire until they got the order,
Cease